Hey guys, Karibo Bros here, and today we've got another speed duel deck profile. This time it is a Cocoon of Ultra Evolution, so obviously this has been arguably the top deck in the meta since when Trials of the Kingdom came out, so that was late November, early December, so it's been the best deck on the format for 6 months. I already thought I had recorded the deck profile with this, with the new cards from the Twisted Nightmare Match of the Millennium structure decks, obviously not. So we're just going to go through the deck profile and see what new cards we play essentially with the old build and how much the deck has changed. Start things off, we'll look at the skill card. Now, this card's rather cheap on eBay. I've seen it on eBay, it's about £12. I don't know what that is in dollars, about $15. And considering it's the best card of the format, it's worth picking up at that price. So I'd recommend getting them now if you don't have one. Anyway, you can activate one of the following skills during your main phase. You can either tribute one insect monster on either field, equipped with an equipped card, and if you do special summon one insect monster from your deck, ignoring its summoning conditions, also flip this card face over. Then you can also shuffle one insect monster in your graveyard into your deck, then draw one card, also flip this card face over. Each of these skills can only be used once per duel. So this essentially the main combo that we've all suffered from for the last 6 months is our opponents will equip one of their Parasite Paranoids, one of our monsters, activate this. Parasite Paranoid makes our monster an insect, tribute to our monster, and then gains them an advantage by summoning a insect from the hand and then using Parasite Paranoid, from the deck from this, and using Parasite Paranoid to summon one from hand, usually getting 2 moths and just ending our whole career. So that's the skill card, it's very good, and as I say, it's still relatively cheap, so if you do see it on eBay or whatever, pick one up, and I'd advise picking one up now. Onto the main deck, we are playing 24 cards, I believe it is. Most decks are not playing them a minimum of 20 cards because they don't want to deck out, because games are becoming quite grindy at the moment, especially with cards such as Twisted Wheel of Nightmare, is that what it's called? No, Nightmare Wheel. Nightmare Wheel grinding games out extensively. So 2 copies of Perfectly Ultimate Great Moth. So again, we'll summon these off both the Parasite Paranoid and skill card Cocoon of Ultra Evolution. 3 Parasite Paranoid, it is a quick effect, so we can equip it in our opponent's turn. We equip this in our opponent's turn to a monster they control. Whatever the monster is equipped to, that monster becomes an insect, and obviously then can't attack any insect monsters we control. That's the main core of the deck, those 5 cards. Next, we play some draw power in the premise of 3 Tokochi, the Battle Chanted Locomotive. 1400 attack, 1000 defense. This is also very common in Goat, so anyone who plays Goat, this was a decent reprint for you in the Trials of the Kingdom set. It's a dark monster, and we are just going to set it to draw 1, and it's not going to get over most, but it can attack for petty damage, which is cool. 2 copies of Nidoria. It's another dark monster. We obviously play a lower darkness in this deck. If this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, target one monster on the field and destroy that target. So if our opponent's coming at us in the mirror match, they can attack over this with one of their moths, and we can pop the other one with Nidoria, and then hopefully in our turn we'll crash one of our moths into their big moth, and then use our other moth to attack their life points directly. 3 copies of Sphere Grebo. It's a hand trap again. It's dark, so it's got a lower darkness synergy, and it's just all around really good card. Just negates one of our opponent's attacks and turns their monster to defense mode. Onto the spell cards, we can play 3 spell cards, and that is 3 copies of Lower Darkness. Helps us cycle through the deck quickly. As I say, we are playing a 24 card deck, so you can argue that it defeats the point of playing this card. But as I say, the current format, the current meta is quite stall based, so we need to draw at the same time, as well as keeping enough resources in our deck to not be decked out by our opponent. Onto the trap cards, 3 copies of what people may consider to be the problem cards of the format. 3 Nightmare Wheel. So obviously, activate this card by targeting one monster the opponent controls. It can't attack or change its battle position. When it leaves the field, destroy this card, and once per turn during your standby phase, you burn your opponent for 500 life points. So it's used to negate attacks, which is great. Stops your opponent from changing the battle position, so it's a pseudo 1000 Eyes restrict in that way, and it just burns for petty damage continuously. So your opponent needs to out this card, otherwise you put them on like a clock immediately. 3 copies of Zoma the Spirit. I quite like this card. A lot of people really don't like this card in the game. So you'll summon this card in defense mode as an effect monster. What's key to remember is that this card is still a trap, and we'll get onto that later. I assume most of you will know why that's important anyway. But the main thing with this card is we'll summon it in defense mode. It's got 500 defense and it's got 1800 attack. So if our opponent doesn't get over it the turn we summon it, in their turn, we can turn it to attack mode on our turn, and we've got an 1800 beta. However, when it's destroyed by battle, we burn our opponent's life points for the monster's attack that destroyed this. So it's got 1800 attack. If they're attacking over this in attack mode, they've got to hit it with something that's 1900 at the least. So we're taking off nearly half their life points just with this one card. As I say, I do like this card. I'm a proponent of keeping it. Whether or not we do get some sort of ban list in this game is to be seen, but a lot of people don't like this card. Finishing off the main deck for the 24th, 23rd, and 24th copy, I played 2 Dust Tornado, mainly just to out cards such as Zoma, Nightmare Wheel, and any other set that opponents will have, most likely in the form of a Windstorm of Etika. That's the 24 card main deck. Going on to the side deck. Played the 1 copy of Jar of Avarice, just in case we do come up in some sort of mirror match or some sort of really grindy game against our opponents where we need to basically just out-deck them. We can side this in for games 2 and 3. 3rd copy of Dust Tornado for extra back row removal. 2 copies of Floodgate Trap Hole, so this is good against like Relinquished, King of the Skull Servants, and other decks that can put out big threats to our board. And lastly, I feel like this card's going to see more play as the format goes on. Twister. Pay 500 life points, target one face-up spawn trap card on the field and destroy that target. So it's just another way to remove Zoma, Nightmare Wheel, and just help us OTK our opponents essentially with our big threats and in our own moths. We have an extra deck, but of course it's not ever played unless you do decide to copy side copies of what is that trap card? The trap card that summons from the extra deck. That's the side. That's the extra deck. Nothing too special. As I say, we don't use it. Thanks for watching. Let us know in the comments what you think about the deck. Obviously, this build may not be the best deck, but this deck in its sense is obviously the best deck of the format. Are we sick of seeing? Are we sick of being beaten by copies of Perfect Ultimate Great Moth? Do we want to see some sort of ban list? Do we want to see some sort of errata on this? I'm personally in favour of that not happening. But let me know what you think below, and thanks for watching.